Steve, do you spell your first name both ways? Do you have a preference,
PH.
PH usually? That's what I thought.
Hey, Steve, Happy New Year.
You too, and many more.
Yeah.
Gail, while I'm thinking about it, I have a key for you for the new office.
Oh, how are things looking?
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we came in this morning. Everything had been moved.
good,
Sophia and I did some tweaking on a few things. But we're good. We're in a good spot at the moment.
good, good. Glad to hear it.
So yeah. Anyway, I have two silver keys on my desk. So when you're in tomorrow, help
I
yourself.
will come down and see the place. Um,
Jason, does the key for the old office work for the new one?
No, Carl had five extra keys made for us today. So we just did a swap because you don't have any keys currently, do you, Gail?
I have a key. I think we all have a key.
Oh, so you have a key for the office, Steve?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I can take that back when you're next in the office so I can get it back to Carl. Do you want a key
So
for you want a key for the new office?
we should have a key for the new office, each of the three of us.
Okay, we can do that. I didn't realize that. You think John has a key too for the whole
I
office?
don't know, but I assume so.
That's good to know. I know Kay had one, but how was your training today, Gail?
it was great. It was
Good.
really good. So we're talking about designating Needham as the training center for all the shared services towns for CPR. Makes things a lot easier as far as getting cards, getting classes scheduled, stuff like that. It was really valuable and it went well.
Now this is just a one day thing, right? This isn't like a multi-day training, is
No,
it?
it was just today. So I have to do two classes with some. I think Ginny and Needham can observe me. It has to
Okay.
observe me teaching at least two classes in the next couple of months. So I'll figure
Great.
that out with them.
Well, okay.
Hi there, everyone.
I
Hi.
Are you talking about trained as an instructor in CPR?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she did
went
her
through the
class
training
today.
today.
Oh, good. How'd it go?
It was great, really good training. So I did it with the other Needham and Medfield nurses.
Great. so I was just watching a little bit of the selectmen's meeting and they were talking about how crazy the town's Google Drive folders are, and that it's probably because we have no IT director. There's just not been any consistent organization. And Dave Haviland was talking about it, and he said the exception to that is the Board of Health, which has very organized files. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but
He said that. That's a nice little shout out.
yeah, it is a nice little shout out.
It was a major outage in the townhouse on New Year's Eve. We were without internet all day.
Oh, wow. What
All
did you do?
departments. It was, I went to Sherburne and got some work done there, came back to Dover, hoping that it would be up and running again, but then went home just to finish up the work. But,
Wow.
I mean, not a lot got done on last Wednesday.
So this was a
Yeah.
power outage, not internet. I mean, it was internet because of the power being out, or?
No, because the library is on a different server and the police are on a different server. So I don't know. I think it was just unique to the townhouse.
Oh, I see.
Not sure about Carol.
Did they diagnose the problem? And
It had something to do with Verizon and some cable work that was being done over on Dedham Street. But that impacted our server. So that's all Carl had told me. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe someone just wanted to start the New Year's Eve party early and just cut the cable. Never know.
I've got 701.
Jason, have you spoken, or Gail, either of you spoken with John past couple of days?
I have not.
No.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and begin? I'll call the meeting to order. It's January 5th, 7:02.
There he is.
There he is. Hi, John. John, can you hear us?
There we go.
Great. Good. All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's January 5th, 7:02. I'm Kay Peterson, Chair.
Stephen Kruskall, member.
Don Quackenbush, member, present.
Good. Are we recording the meeting?
Yep, it's recording.
And how do we know that? There's a camera icon that I can see that's,
Look in the top right.
yeah.
There should be a little recording with a red dot flashing.
Oh, I see. Yep,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it shows it in a couple places.
Yeah.
I see it top left, and it also has it next to Dover Board of Health too.
Yeah. I only see it if I move the cursor down, but I see it there. Okay, good. So, we begin our meetings with a public comment period. And I wonder, Sophia, are you there? Are you Dover Board of Health?
Yes, I'm here.
Do we have anyone else in the waiting room?
No, it doesn't look like there are anyone else.
Okay. So we won't have any comments today. Let's begin by just talking about our next meeting, which is scheduled tentatively for February 2nd. How's that for everyone? It's good for me.
Looks good to me too.
Okay, it's good for the groundhog too.
Is that the day? Okay, so February 2nd, it will be, assuming Gail and Jason, it's good for you and Sophia as well.
Yeah, 7 p.m. still good for everyone. Is that I know Sophia's obviously done with school now, so I know she has no restrictions time wise. So up to you guys. Seven o'clock's been fine with me, so doesn't make a
Works
difference.
for me.
It's fine with me, as long as the meeting doesn't last too long, and we've been doing pretty well lately. Okay, so let's jump into our minutes. We have meeting minutes from December 1st and December 10th. Let's start with December 1st. Anyone have any comments, edits to suggest? I have none.
No, none
Oh.
for me.
Move that
Someone
they
wanna-
be accepted.
Seconded.
All in favor, aye. Kay Peterson.
Hi, John Quackenbush.
Sophia, you heard both of them, right? Okay, good. And minutes from December 10th. Any comments or edits? I have
None
none.
for me.
Just a shout out to Sophia for really minimizing our need to deal with any editing.
Yes,
Yeah,
Thank
I second that.
Thank
they're
you.
they're really great. I mean, I read everything in them, and I don't have any suggestions. So
Guys are
Bob,
too nice. Thank you.
you do too good a job. Thank you very much. All right. So did we vote
No.
on the second one?
I move that
move
we
we-
accept this December
s-
10th meetings.
I'll second that too.
All in favor, aye. Kay Peterson.
Hi, Stephen Kruskall.
Hi, John Quackenbush.
Okay, done. All right, next item on the agenda is open meeting law. And I would like to just summarize some items I learned from a conference that Nina Pickering Cook held for Dover residents, I mean Dover board members and others back in December. John, I think you were there for part of it too. So
I was too, yes.
feel free to chime in if you have additional thoughts, but there were a few things I just wanted to talk about that I learned from this or that reinforced what I was a little fuzzy about. She talked about minutes of meetings, and that minutes are not meant to be a transcript. AI cannot serve as minutes, though AI can be used as a tool for the person who's putting the minutes together. She said that the purpose of minutes is really to demonstrate how the board came to a decision, what the pros and cons were that it debated, and how it resolved itself to make a decision. She talked about remote meetings being okayed through, I don't know if it's through 2027 or until 2027, but she's still hopeful that there'll be a permanent change made to the statute that allows this, since remote meetings seem to be quite successful. And she talked about, in terms of the open meeting law, she talked she talked about it at length for boards that have more than 3 members. So obviously that doesn't apply to us, but she did talk about the importance of us not communicating by email. And though we're very good about that, she said one of the things that can catch people is if they hit reply all to an email. And she suggested that when Jason or Gail or Sophia sends out an email to all of us, that we be blind copied so that we can't just reflexively hit reply all. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And she talked about the risk being that there are people out there who weaponize the open meeting law and who sometimes are looking for violations that are petty and perfunctory, but nonetheless can be weaponized. So she said it's important to be careful about this. So Jason, that means Jason, all of our staff have to get in the habit of writing to us by BCCing us, which is going to be, if that were I would have trouble making that transition, but hopefully you'll be able to do that more easily than I would. And we'll see how it goes. I don't think anybody's done anything. Nobody has slipped up and deliberated, but it's just that we have to be careful about not replying to all on emails. That's really all I have about based on that talk that she gave. John, do you
Yeah, I
want to
mean,
add
I don't
anything?
have nothing much else. She did talk about how boards of size 3 do present disadvantages in terms of trying to think about forming subcommittees or anything else, because two people as a subcommittee would also be a quorum and represent
Yes.
the entire group. So we just have to be very thoughtful about how we do things.
Yeah.
Was there any give and take during that session? Did
Yeah,
she
there was.
receive questions?
Yeah, lots of questions.
Did anyone bring up the statement from Robin at Bob Springett's memorial about meeting with Bob weekly at breakfast?
No. One thing she did talk about that I almost forgot I wanted to mention, and that is the site visits. So it's okay to go to a site visit, as to have all members of a board go to a site visit, as long as there is no as long as the only thing that happens is information transfer. That is, there can't be any discussion, deliberation among the board members. And we can't, let's say we were all at a site visit, we couldn't render any opinions to somebody else in front of other board members, because that would be deliberation. She encouraged us, if we do have a site visit that we're all going to go to, that she said the best thing to do is to post it as a meeting so that there can't be any question raised about our behavior at a site visit. So if that comes up, it's something to remember.
It was brilliant.
I had a question about site visits. Are
Yeah.
those open to the public?
I don't know the answer in all cases. I believe they are. So the site visit that I went to recently at 43 Strawberry Hill Street was open to the public, but it wasn't posted anywhere. It wasn't announced, but members of the public who learned about it attended, and that was fine.
So
If a
follow
site
up to
visit,
that. Go
Wait,
ahead.
both of you talked at once. Gail, finish.
Just follow up to that. So members of the public, do they know who the board members are? How would I know if I was a member visiting a site who was on a particular board?
Well,
Is there,
if you
I
were
know that's an
Jason,
awkward question, but
if you were Jason, if you'd
right.
seen Jason at the site visit, you would have seen Jason, tell them about your fleece. Do you remember what
Oh.
you wore?
Yeah. So the only super warm jacket I have is my town of Dennis winter coat. So I was dressed up. If you guys, I assume everyone here has seen A Christmas Story.
Yep.
Ralphie's little brother, when they get him all dressed up, he has like the three coats on. I was looking like that when we were out at that site visit, because it was what, Kay? It was probably like, I don't know, it's like 15 degrees, wasn't it?
It was really cold.
So I was going for function over looks. So did what I could to stay warm. But you're right. To your point, Kay, people may have been confused by my attire. So luckily I introduced myself and did say who I was. So
Yeah, and everyone introduced themselves at the beginning, but I think your point is well taken, Gail. I think this is what you're implying is that we all ought to wear identifying information. I didn't wear anything that was identifying. It didn't occur to me. So I think for the future we should be sure to do that. Maybe we could all have down overcoats that say Dover Board of Health. Jason, you can get those for us.
Roll them into the budget.
Steve, what were you going to say?
It's been covered. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else about the open meeting law? So let's move on to PFAS. Jason, that's your topic.
yeah, so I don't know that I had anything specific on it per se, but um, I guess kind of my larger point with this is we've turned a new page here. We're in a new year. We just kind of finished up our latest project, being that of the nicotine free tobacco stuff. Kind of looking, to the rest of this year now. I know one of the topics we started to get into earlier on in 2025 was the PFAS. Just in terms of updating our well regulations, different things we might like to see or do. So I kind of just wanted to revisit that, see what everyone's latest thoughts were. Um, our well regulation, in my opinion, is kind of due for an update at this point. It's been close to 10 years since it was last done. A lot's changed, of course. The PFAS has become a hot topic. So I'm kind of just looking for some feedback from you guys to see what you might like to do with this. I am, just for the record, I am starting to see not a whole lot, but I am seeing more PFAS testing that is coming through the office. Any for home sales, people are now seemingly just doing it voluntarily, which is nice to see. I've only got a handful, but still interesting nonetheless. I mean, up until the last couple of months, I'd only seen a handful in my entire tenure. So starting to see more of those. So I kind of just wanted to turn it to you guys and just see what your latest thoughts were and see what you might like to do going forward.
Jason, are you seeing or hearing about any other municipalities that are requiring PFAS testing with property transfer? There's one, isn't there one that you mentioned a few months ago?
Yeah, so the only one that I know of is the town of Mashpee here on the Cape. But I don't know. I guess for them, Steve, you might know better than I would on this. They're some old base or something there, and they have all kinds of contamination. Yeah, I really don't know a whole lot about it, but so I would consider them kind of a unique circumstance. So if we were to do something like this, we would kind of be leading the charge in a lot of ways. I think we should think about incorporating something with PFAS into our reg. I think it's time. It's just a matter of what. Do you require it at home sale? Do you require it for just every new well? There's a kind of a number of different ways that we could go with it.
I mean, I personally, given how much discussion we've had over the last year, would like to see it required for every new well and for home sales. I actually think for sellers it would be and buyers it would be a plus, and that people would know that the water either is clear or that they have to do some kind of mitigation.
Yeah.
And the mitigation is relatively inexpensive. The tests aren't that bad. The mitigation is relatively inexpensive. And it seems like those are the two times to do it, just like you have to do septic system inspections when you install them and when you transfer ownership of the property.
Have any of you ever talked to anyone in the real estate world about this? I'm curious about what their response would be.
Do you want us to speculate?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
suspect
Feel
that they'll
free.
be strongly against it because it might impede, in their view, commerce. And months delay possibly in terms of repeat testing and what have you when someone wants to put a home on the market.
Mhm.
And we might even hear from organized real estate regarding that if we impose something ahead of the curve regarding that. So I think we can educate our own folks further regarding what's available to them to mitigate the problem. And but I think in terms of setting up any legislation regarding it, it might be problematic.
I like the idea of taking the educational approach right now. I mean, given that we would be way out in front with this. I mean, really, if you say that Mashpee is an exception because of their particular circumstance, we would be the forefront if we were to start to regulate. But it would be, I think it'd be very interesting to start educating our residents and also talking to some real estate agents about it and educating them about it. I don't know how much they know. I have no idea. Never discussed it with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys think it might be helpful, um, we could kind of put out some type of poll, maybe to our local realtors, just to kind of get input from them. Because I am curious. I mean, what does that? What would this mean in terms of clients and home sales and all those different things? So, I definitely love to hear feedback from kind of that group. Because yeah, I mean, we see realtors from all over the place, but uh, in terms of people we see day to day, it's like the same core, 5 to 10 folks who seem to do the majority. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a relatively small number of people who are consistently selling houses in Dover.
yeah, go ahead, Steve.
There's also the FISBOs, though.
What?
And FISBOs, it's the realtor term for sale by owner who never use a realtor.
Yeah.
That might have some concerns as well about legislation and even being aware of it.
Be hard to
About
target those
20% of
people.
the homes in Dover are FISBOs.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, they have to educate themselves in selling their houses about Title V, the other inspections that need to be done, right? Radon testing. I mean, there are a whole host of things you have to do in order to sell a house.
Yeah.
And, this one doesn't seem to be that excessive in terms of the overall burden. I mean, I remember when we bought our first house here in Dover, we had to have, and it had a well, we had to have the well tested just to make sure the flow rate was sufficient to meet town ordinances. And, knowing it was a good, good peace of mind for us as a buyer.
Mhm. Jason, is there any way to ask somebody at the either the Mass Health Officers Association or the Association of Health Boards about whether they're seeing anything in this area that I don't mean in this, I mean in the area of PFAS testing of water, whether there are any other municipalities that are getting involved in this.
Outside of Mashpee, I know Nantucket is very much into all this as well. I went to a presentation at the MHOA conference a few months back, and there's a gentleman from Nantucket whose name escapes me, but he's there solely to deal with this. I think he's like their environmental manager, or I forget what his title is. But did a whole presentation about PFAS and wells and all this stuff. Definitely someone I'd love to connect with and should connect with. Maybe just kind of pick his brain a little bit, let him know what we've been discussing and kind of just some ideas we've been spitballing.
Do you think hearing his presentation would be helpful for us as a board? Do you think if there's any chance he would be willing to?
Yeah, I bet you he either has a recording or would come join us at a future meeting.
Steve and John, would that be interesting to you?
Yeah, it
Would
would.
if he's the right person. There may be others who have more expertise than just an island that has never been particularly industrialized in any way other than whaling.
I
And Mashpee is the other end of the spectrum. Camp Edwards has been the source of all sorts of military weapons testing.
yeah,
So it's where you are on the spectrum in terms of how to
yeah.
understand.
Well, this gentleman is from California, I believe, so he's had PFAS exposure elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
yeah, so-
California requires testing of private
Yeah.
wells, that I know.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the fact that he was asked to speak at the Mass Health Officers Association annual meeting suggests that he's probably one of the top local experts.
Yeah, I mean the truth is that there's just not a lot of people out there. I mean, Kay, do you remember when you and I met with a couple DEP folks about PFAS?
Yeah,
Uh, I thought I'd feel better from that meeting, just kind of getting to hear from them, but um, I'll just say I didn't feel great afterwards.
well, I just want to, I will say that you and I agreed that she was very knowledgeable.
Oh,
But there was,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not denying that.
yeah, but that what was clear is that there was no answer to our questions, what should be done. And that was what, maybe 2 years ago, Jason?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not. It's no one's fault. I think it's just things are just still so fresh at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
It wouldn't be
everyone's
crazy.
looking for answers. So
Say that again. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I just said we're all looking for answers at this point.
Yeah. It wouldn't be crazy to talk to her again too and see if she has any updates.
So after the issue of PFAS in the water was raised earlier this year, did we get any testing results or information back? Are there people talking about doing their own testing? Did they ever report anything back?
Are you talking about the man who came to our meeting?
Yeah.
Jason, I think you said he did not ever get back to us, did he?
He did not, unfortunately, which is okay. I mean, we offered, of course, to cover the retesting, which was generous. So we offered that up to him. It was totally up to him. I mean, no pressure. If he wasn't interested by the time we came back around on it, no biggie. But I will say, so I mentioned I have received a few tests. They've all been insignificant for the most part, very, very low levels. So I really, anything that's come across, I really haven't seen anything that's been like, oh my gosh.
So his result was really an outlier.
Yes.
Where did he live? Do you remember? Not
Hartford
precise
Street,
address,
was
but
it?
I think Steve's right. I think it was somewhere on Hartford Street.
Yeah, which is one of the more heavily traveled roads in town. I don't know the history of what's on Hartford Street. Do either of you have any recollection as to why the PFAS levels might have been high?
No idea.
Funeral home,
What did you say?
funeral home.
Was there a funeral home on Hartford Street?
Yes,
There was?
there is.
There is?
Yeah, but
It's
it's up like it's just
it's
about on 109 in Westwood.
it's in Westwood, but it's in high ground, and who knows how,
Yeah.
if that was a source, how the aquifers flowed. Eaton is the name of the funeral home,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I have heard of Eaton. So I'm inclined, I'm all in favor of updating our well regs. I'm in favor of doing research about PFAS and our well regs at this point. And that might involve speaking to this guy in Nantucket and maybe speaking to the woman at the DEP again and and continuing to look at the water test results that we get and talking about those.
Yeah, so as we've been talking, I've been doing a search, and apparently the Draper well field in 2022, there were high PFAS levels detected, and that was shut down. And that connects to Draper Road connects to Hartford Street.
That's
That
interesting.
was felt to be possibly attributed to that old gas station,
Yeah.
109.
Do we have a monitoring well in that area? Anybody know offhand?
Not sure.
Well, we could, I don't want to look it up now, but I think that's another thing to think about is doing some monitoring well testing.
And we talked about doing that before, and I think that's a good idea.
I think that one of the questions is what we do with the results. Let's say we had a monitoring well near you on Walpole Street and it had a very high level. What do you think we should be doing with those results? First, we would repeat the test to be sure it was not a fluke. But do you think we should be notifying? Who should be notified about it? Should anyone or what subgroup of people?
Yeah. Well, the tricky thing too, if you guys remember, if you test for PFAS and you're over 20 parts per trillion of the combined, 6 PFAS, you essentially become a reportable incident to the DEP, which means you're on the hook for remediation. So if you test and you have these high levels, you all of a sudden become this big thing that has to be fixed and dealt with. So that's one tricky thing to all of this.
Although if it was a monitoring well, what would that mean to the DEP?
That's a good question. I'm not sure of the answer, but I assume it would be treated the same way.
Maybe that would be a question for that woman at the DEP we met with, if she's still in her position.
So because that's why one of my original ideas too was assume every well has some type of PFAS contamination and put in some type of filtration
Yeah.
rather than the testing that's very expensive. You use some type of filter, maybe like a GAC filter, something can reduce PFAS levels, and maybe you go that route. Just something to think about.
So, Jason, do you want to talk a little bit about other aspect of regulations that you think would be worth tackling, or do you want to do more preparation before talking about that with us?
I mean, I have a draft that I've started to work on, just preliminary. So I mean, I probably started working on it a year ago. Um, the only other, off the top of my head, one big issue we have, or not issue, I guess, depending on how you look at it. So testing is required of your well at the time of property transfer, as we all know. The only issue is it doesn't specify who has to do it. So it very often comes up where the buyer is pointing at the seller and the seller's pointing at the buyer saying, you do it. So, I think one of our things as just a housekeeping thing, uh, we specify the seller gets it tested prior to transferring, that type of thing. So that's, I guess, kind of one of the things too. We want to go through and we want to clean up things like that. Like that's an easy one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just things to think about. We don't have to decide anything tonight. Just kind of wanted to pick things back up on that since we ended up getting into a lot of other stuff towards the end of last year. So
Well, I like the fact that you're providing us some momentum about this beginning of the year and our New Year's resolution. Uh, and and why don't we, if everyone's in agreement, why don't we go ahead and see if we can set up an invitation to one of our meetings with either the woman from the DEP or the man from Nantucket, or both in separate meetings at some point in the near future. Does that seem okay to everyone?
Yeah, that sounds like a good suggestion, Kay.
All right, Jason, we can talk about that more offline. Okay. It's really hard to talk about the man from Nantucket. The limericks.
Yeah.
Just anyway. All right, let's move on. FOIA request.
yeah, so I just wanted to give an update on that. As you're all aware, a few weeks back we received a what I would consider a good size FOIA request. Gail, you just logged in twice. What happened?
Looks like the first one is frozen.
The first one's frozen, so I logged out of it.
No, you didn't.
You're annoyed that it's frozen. There you
There
go.
you go.
You're gone.
Yeah, so anyway, so we received a good size FOIA request a few weeks back. Request being just basically any and all documents pertaining to our pursuit of the nicotine-free generation initiative. So we have since responded to that, we being town clerk, Felicia, to let that person know that's something that requires a decent amount of work. So what Felicia did was she got back to them, acknowledged their request, let them know how much it would cost, because there is labor involved in that. And so where we stand right now is if this individual wishes to move forward, they can pay the fee. And once we've received payment, we can then move forward with getting them the requested materials. And so at this point, we haven't received a response. As soon as I hear anything, I will, of course, let you guys know. But at this point, we've kind of done a little prep work just, in terms of like Retro can pull all the the town emails automatically by just searching the keywords they requested. So we've done a little prep work just like in that regard, kind of just getting all that set up. But nothing's official until they actually, complete the payment and decide that they want to move forward with this. So that's where we stand currently. I asked Felicia today if she's heard anything, and she hasn't. So nothing as of yet.
Okay, any questions about that?
Now, is there a deadline by which they have to reply?
That's a good question. I asked the same thing to the town clerk. I don't believe there is. They
Okay.
could, in theory, respond tomorrow or a year from now, and the request still stands. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of makes
Okay.
sense because they could always let it lapse and then just come back and file a new request and pay the fee.
yeah, well, I mean, we'll be ready either way.
Anything else? Okay. So 40B project, 43 Strawberry Hill Street.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, Kay, I think you mentioned it. Do you know the specific date that the comments are due? I know it got pushed back, right? I think it was
Yeah,
supposed to be the end of this week, but it's now end of this month.
it's now February 2nd.
Okay.
That was the date that was announced during the Housing Task Force meeting a couple of weeks ago. So these are comments that are not really going to do anything more than just paint the picture for mass housing about this. Their goal is to assess, what do they call it? Project eligibility, meaning they're in the process of determining whether the site is appropriate for 40B housing. And and we're and what the woman from Mass Housing said when she was at the site visit is that we're welcome to comment, but highly technical comments are not going to make any difference in what they do at this point. So we don't have to produce anything elaborate, but I think we should make our concerns clear. And I think they go through Mike, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. I want to tell you more about this Housing Task Force meeting. It was December 17th. So Judy Barrett who of the Barrett Planning Group, which is a very well-known municipal planning group, land planning group in this area, she's been engaged by the planning board or maybe the town. I'm not sure who's engaged her, but to work with the town on developing a strategy, a plan for dealing with affordable housing and housing in Dover in general. So she had her first meeting with the Housing Task Force in the middle of December, and she talked about the process in general, but she spoke specifically about this 40B application on Strawberry Hill Street. And she said, and we talked about the concerns about water availability in that area, given the proposal to have a total of 10 wells on the site. She said that she would highly recommend that if we're going to recommend peer review of water in that area, of that subject, that we work right now on getting a firm lined up, a consulting firm lined up that we would like to see do that consultation. I'm pretty sure that the Zoning Board of Appeals is the entity that would engage the consultant, but it would be up to us to recommend to the ZBA that we have a consultation and to suggest a particular firm if we'd like that. She said the reason to act on it now is that these consultancies have waiting lists, and you book now for a number of months down the road, and if we wait until we're about to need the results of a consultation, it's going to be too late to get somebody involved. What else? I was going to say something else. Robin Hunter mentioned, just offhandedly, she said that Tetra Tech is a consulting company that does a lot of work in this area, in the area of hydrogeology, and that's the company that Ron Myrick works for. Steve, you remember him from
Yes, I
the
do.
water
Yeah.
study group. John, do you know Ron Myrick?
I don't.
He's really smart, helpful guy who was on the original what was the name of the committee?
Water
Water
Resources.
Resources Study Committee, and had a lot of input into that. So that was interesting to hear about that. So I think Jason and I will talk more about the details of proceeding to recommend a consultation.
Well, it sounds
Steve?
like he'd be good because he's already, somewhat familiar with the town. So
Yes.
Myrick was
I did just want to
very-
mention quick. Sorry to cut you off, Steve. I did talk to the town administrator about the consultant.
Yeah.
He recommended holding off until they actually file a permit with ZBA.
And why did he recommend waiting that long? Because
I-
things have to move there's a very tight timeline. Once they file the comprehensive permit, my understanding is that once they file the application for the comprehensive permit, there's a very tight timeline. And what Judy was implying was that if you wait till that point, you're not going to have enough time to engage the firm. So maybe I should talk with somebody else who was at that meeting. Mike was at that meeting, though, I think.
Yeah, I think his point was just it's not something that we should do in his mind unless we're certain they're moving forward.
Um,
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you. What
okay. Well, maybe we should go talk to him.
Go
Steve.
ahead, Steve. Sorry, to cut you off before.
Did each of us submit to you, Jason, our comments regarding the feasibility of that project? And have you put that in writing if you have received comments from all three of us?
Good question. I'm glad you brought it up. So what I did is I just have a running document where I'm just going to plug in everyone's comments. We have another couple weeks, as Kay mentioned. Steve, you're the only board member I've officially heard from thus far. So I've already plugged your comments into this document. I assume at some point John and Kay will send me individually their thoughts and things they'd like me to share. So once I have all those, we'll put it all together in that, and I'll share it with Michael.
Steve, what were your comments in general?
Well, I think there's a problem with water use there. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not an expert, and Ron Myrick's firm might be that expert that confirms that.
Yeah. Anything other than the water that?
No, I think the septic stuff will probably fly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But if we were to get a document together that goes to the ZBA, we'd be ahead of the game in terms of getting them to move along with obtaining a consultant, I suspect. And I guess a few other entities that were supposed to chime in as well. I don't know what they've done.
Yeah, I don't either. So, Jason, I'll send you some comments, and John, you'll do the same, I guess.
Yeah.
I take it you don't need anything lengthy from us, just a paragraph of our concerns, right?
I mean, not even whatever you want.
Okay.
We'll take and we'll submit it.
Okay, good. Anything else on that topic? All right, let's move on to the intern MOU review.
So has everyone had a chance to look at this document?
Yes.
What it is more or less is it's just an agreement between us, Needham, and Mass Health Officers Association to be part of this intern program. It's boilerplate for the most part, but nonetheless, I wanted you guys to all get eyes on it, offer your inputs, make any necessary edits before we shared it with town council. Steve, go ahead.
I believe I gave you a bit of input regarding the language regarding IP in that document, the use of IP. And I don't know if John's had a chance to look at that. I'd be interested in what he thought.
I looked over it. I mean, I didn't see anything that was a red flag, but it's been a while since I looked at it.
I haven't seen anything. Are you talking about something that you submitted or that's in
No,
there?
I'm just saying that once you have a relationship, it seemed as though the language regarding who's entitled to the profits from IP and even was tilted in a way that isn't usually the case in academic agreements.
Is this something,
Having seen a few, but not in a while.
is this something that you think is important to pursue?
It's something that's minor, but if it ever came back to bite, I'd regret that we hadn't had it reviewed by someone of legal status who's familiar with IP, which I don't believe Nina is.
Um,
And I looked at Nina's firm's website. They didn't have one mention of their skill set regarding IP.
So what would you propose doing, Steve?
I think somebody who does specialize in IP just ought to review the language.
And who would pay for that?
The town.
You mean the Board of Health?
Well, eventually it's the town. It just might come out of our budget, but basically it's the town doing that. Now, they may not find it important enough, but I think we ought to register our concern.
So I have to say that I don't have any concern about it because I think the probability that this would ever be an active issue is so small, it's not worth spending money on.
Well, from personal experience long ago, it would have been best to have had my family's ducks in a row regarding that.
But we're a municipality, and I don't see how there's a way we could profit off of. I don't want to get into discussing the details, but it's just I don't see.
It's hard
just
for me
don't
to
see it as
imagine
such.
an intern coming up with a highly valuable patentable.
But it's possible, especially your expertise, that you might come up with something that's very applicable for the Board of Health use that also has a chance of being financially exploited.
But not for,
If the intern takes part in that process, then it gets murky according to that language.
but a municipality has no, I would assume a municipality has no ability to profit from something uh, that comes out of work that's done in the town. Um,
I'd love to have somebody tell me that who is familiar enough with that world. Say,
Well,
don't
I
bother.
think, I suspect Nina could tell us enough about that to,
Well, we can disagree on that.
I did
Yeah.
change one thing in the MOU. It had our townhouse address as 2 Dedham Street. So that was the only thing I updated.
well, you're going to be sending this to Nina, right, Jason?
Yeah, of course. Once you guys are comfortable with it, we'll send it to town council.
What if you specifically talk to her about Steve's concerns and ask whether
Ask
she
her if she has the
feels-
relevant expertise.
what?
You can ask her if she has enough expertise to assess that.
Yeah,
I mean, I would trust her to give us a good read on that.
I would too.
The town would get a royalty-free license to anything that was invented. So, yeah. And I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine an intern working with our Board of Health coming up with something dramatic. You never know, though. So I think asking Nina for a read on it and then getting outside advice if she feels it's necessary would be the right thing to do.
So see if she has any concerns as it relates specifically to intellectual property.
Yep, and ask her if she feels she has the relevant expertise or if she needs to consult with someone. I'm sure this has come up before.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say too, most oftentimes when I reach out to Nina, um, she isn't necessarily the one who's doing our review. Like it may be someone else in her office. And I think what happens a lot of the time is depending on what the topic is, it may get funneled to that specific person who specializes in that area or maybe is more comfortable, whatever the case may be. Like this, Kay, the person who we've heard from a few times recently has been Martell,
Yeah.
who works in her office, who's been awesome.
And once in a while, we've heard from the person who does employment law.
Yep.
I think, maybe the helpful question that would educate us all about this is whether municipalities have any claim to intellectual property if something is developed. I mean, and what the meaning of that is.
It's just not municipalities. We're an independently elected board. So it may be nuanced in that regard as well.
Yeah, could ask her that too. So, anything else about this topic?
Well, so I guess so that I know they want this back sooner rather than later. Obviously, we're going to be stuck with however long it takes for town council to do their review. So on your guys' end, how do you want to leave this for today?
I think the risk is small. I'd like to move forward with it as quickly as we can. We could approve it pending legal review.
Yeah,
That's something I would be fine with. I don't know about everybody else.
I would be too. Did she have office hours coming up, Jason?
I think we just missed one. So
Okay. All right, so So do we want to vote on this? Do you,
So I move we approve the MOU to allow us to have an intern pending legal review, including review of the intellectual property clause.
Second,
all in favor? I, Kay Peterson.
Hi, John Quackenbush.
by Stephen Crestcall.
So I just want to say that this is it's nice to have a formal relationship about with the what is it, the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards that's doing this, Jason?
MHOA.
And hopefully this will lead to more interns in the future. And it also, it's nice that we're going to be bringing in a little revenue because of this.
Well, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this, Jason. You know, I think it's important to train the next generation. This is a great way to do it.
Go ahead.
A number of years ago, there was some problem of obtaining funding from the town regarding something that the board was in favor of. And at least I and probably one other member of the board offered to pay for said object out of our own pockets. And we were rebuffed, saying that could not be done. The town, any money that was given to the town had to go into their general funds rather than directly to the board. I wonder, in that we're concerned about revenue of 10K, which is money, but not only a fraction of our budget, whether that stance on the part of the town has changed regarding direct donations by members of the board to the Board of Health.
Well, you know, it's directed toward hosting the intern, right? It's not.
Now, I mean,
General
if we're happy in getting that amount of revenue, which is, you can't laugh at that amount of money, but in terms of our overall budget, it's only a fraction. And the amount of money that was offered years ago was somewhere in the $5,000 to $10,000 range, and town said, "Oh no, you can't do that."
Well, I think it's, so this is more like a grant.
I'm just saying, if the board had its own fund for that was purposed such you could have a directed donation to the board, I still think their stance is going to be no. But if that sort of money we feel is consequential, there are things that we might want someday that are not in the budget but could be donated
Mhm.
out of our own pockets, at least ours. So I'm just wondering if the town has changed its stance on accepted that sort of donation and purposed in that sort of way.
I would be surprised if they have. I think it's probably a statutory thing because it's a town is not a charity.
Well, it's just a question if we have Nina's 5 minutes worth of Nina's time to ask. Or Mike's.
I think that the reason that the Friends of the Council on Aging and the Friends of the Dover Library exist is because that's a workaround that allows charitable donations to benefit those organizations, those departments.
Oh, does that beg the question of whether we should be setting up a similar entity?
I suppose if you'd like, we could put it on the agenda for a future meeting and talk about whether we see any benefit to having a charitable organization affiliated with us. I don't see that need, but if you do and want to speak
Oh,
to
and
Jason,
we just came up with $67,000 to help online permitting. So we did have some discretionary money then was put to good use.
Well, but that wasn't discretionary, right? That came through a grant, didn't it?
That
Yeah,
came,
it was a grant from Denise Garlick to, related to digitization of our files. So it's closely related.
Yeah.
Presumably our digitized files will be connected to OpenGov in some way, once the town gets to that point. I'd like to propose that we move on, and talk about the town report.
Let's do that.
Jason, Jason included it in the drive, our folder for this meeting. And so I hope you've all had a chance to review it. I think there are still a few little grammatical and formatting tweaks to be made, but nothing substantive, at least in my mind. If any of you has any substantive suggestion for change, I think it would be good to know about that now, because I'd like to propose that if we're in agreement about the substance, that we vote to approve the substance today, and that we agree that it's okay
I sent
our
Jason a
staff
few,
to tweak the formatting
yeah.
and so forth.
I sent Jason a few minor edits, but nothing really major.
Was
Uh,
any of them about the substance, about the
no,
meeting?
they weren't substantive at all. I
and
think I think reports come together very nicely.
and I suggested something to Jason that he included.
So we've already seen it.
Yes,
It's in the version that's on the drive.
yes.
The
I
only thing
did.
that,
I'm sorry, Kay. I didn't mean to jump in there, but
no,
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say, as of this morning, I did add more, which was a blurb that Gail put together. I just want to make sure you guys have all seen that, um, which you did a nice job on, by the way, Gail. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I just thought there should be something where this role is new this year, that something should speak to the work that's gone on for public health nursing. So it's a brief paragraph.
Does it say, I've read it, but I can't remember if it says that the public health nurse this is the first year of a public health nurse in Dover?
Yes.
Good, okay. I wondered about adding two things that you do, Gail. Blood pressure clinics, unless I missed that. Is that in there?
I
You know,
commented, I had a sentence that they had started later this year. I've started in
good.
Dover.
All right, good. And then, is it worth saying anything about your collaboration with the hospitals and the schools?
I thought of that afterwards, that the relationships with Mass General Brigham and B.I. Leahy. I can add that in.
I think that would be
Community,
good.
I participate on in both.
And then I had something I texted Jason about, which is, I'm not sure about this, but I feel as if I heard that the Old Farm Water Trust is dissolving, no pun intended, that they're having some sort of problem that is leading them to want to, or already perhaps to have connected with Aquarian, but I don't know if that's the case. And I don't remember where I heard this. Does this ring a bell for anyone? No. If we find out that that's happened, I think we should and if it happened in 2025, then I think we should update the little blurb about that water trust, but I don't even know how to find out.
If we find out by Friday.
And John, is it still the case that Mary does a lot of editing for grammar and punctuation and so forth?
Yes, she does.
So we don't have to obsess about that too much, right? Or does she prefer that we obsess and then she tweak after?
She'd rather get it sooner. She'd rather prefer to get it sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Yep. Mary will come after us for sure if I don't have that to her by Friday. So
Yes, she
Yeah.
will.
All right. Okay, I have, so shall we vote to approve? the
I've moved that
substance-
we approve the town report, contingent on minor edits by the Board of Health Director and staff.
Second,
All in favor? Aye, Kay Peterson.
I, John Quackenbush.
Stephen Kruskow.
Okay, great. Associate board member bylaw draft. Take it we've all had a chance to look at this.
You guys want me to pull this up? Because I actually got Nina sent it back to me today and made a few revisions.
Sure.
That would be great.
It's short enough, so it's see what we can do here. Bear with me 1 second. Can you guys all see this?
Yes.
Yes. So can you point out what changes she made? Or,
I mean, nothing really of substance. She just kind of cleaned it up a little bit.
okay. So this says we may appoint one associate member to the Board of Health. The associate member may attend all meetings and may participate in discussions. Upon designation by the chair, the member may act as a full member of the board in the event of a conflict, absence, or vacancy of a full board member. The associate member shall not vote or act in lieu of a full member unless formally designated by the chair to serve as a full member for that meeting or matter. When designated to act as a full member, the associate member shall have all powers and duties of a full member for the duration of that designation.
So here's a conflict of interest.
What do you mean, John?
Well, uh, here we go. Upon designation by the chair, the associate member may act as a full member of the board in the event of a conflict, absence, or vacancy of a board member, right? Vacancy is easy. Absence, I understand. Conflict, I'm assuming that's conflict of interest.
That's what I've assumed.
I sure hope so.
Yes. Otherwise, if I argue with Steve, you can throw us both out in a point.
But I have a broader concern. I think this should be an elected position townwide, just as the planning board has their associate member be elected townwide.
I don't feel strongly either way. I think that this, I think that basically what the planning board bylaw says about this is that if trying to think, it's that if there's a vacancy that's not right before a town election, that there can be an appointment made on it for that period of time, and then
I
the
can read
position would be
the language
elected.
of that if you'd like.
Sure.
Say that again. I'm sorry, Steve, I spoke over you. Say it again.
Article 6, regarding the planning board and the town bylaws, I can read the language if you want regarding the associate member.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually,
That'd be helpful.
An associate member of the planning board shall be elected at the annual town election for a 2-year term Any vacancy in the position shall be filled in accordance with the procedure prescribed in Chapter 41, Section 81A of the Massachusetts General Laws. The chairman of the planning board, when acting as special permit granting authority, may designate the associate member to sit on this board for the purposes of acting on a special permit application in the case of the absence, inability to act, or conflict of interest on the part of any member of the planning board, or in the event of a vacancy on this board. So basically, it seems as though there's some MGL concerns that we have to adhere to, as well as the fact that it would be an elected position rather than an appointed position.
It doesn't have to be an elected position, but it can be.
It can be, but I feel very strongly that it should be.
Yeah, I thought you were saying it had to be.
You know, I can't see somebody running for to be an associate member of the Board of Health, right? I like the idea of appointing them, but I think we do need language that says that that appointment, is effective for a limited period of time and in special circumstances, right? And that if they're appointed to fill a vacancy, that vacancy is only that it would have to be an open election at the next town election cycle.
But the current language we have doesn't say anything about it being an elected position.
So
Right. I don't think it needs to be an elected position.
Well,
I think it just
I'm putting forth that I believe it should be,
and why do you think it should be, Steve?
because it allows the town to weigh in on something that they may feel as a group differently than the members of the board. It wouldn't be self-perpetuating. The board would not be self-perpetuating in political philosophy, potentially, for one.
So you're thinking that by appointing somebody to be an associate member that the board would have undue say over who became a board member down the road?
Yes.
So my concern is that my concern is that we want to lower the barrier to becoming a board member or an associate board member and ultimately a board member, and that this is a way, being able to appoint somebody who doesn't have to run for election to become involved with the Board of Health is a way to make it easier for somebody to do that. But I could imagine that though the person could be appointed initially, that they then could run for election if the next time. I don't know. I'm not saying this very well. But let's say there were let's say this was approved at town meeting. Our bylaw was approved, and we could appoint somebody right after town meeting, and then that appointment could be valid until the next town election, which would be a year later, at which point it would be an elected position.
I'm okay with that, but it has to be an elected position at a reasonable juncture rather than.
Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead.
I disagree. I think we can appoint somebody. Yeah, the likelihood they're going to be a voting member of the Board of Health is relatively small. If I step down and leave and somebody else steps in, requiring that they come up for election in the next cycle, I think makes perfect sense. But, over a short period of time, I don't know. I don't think there's that much risk. And I don't, our board, mostly what we're doing is approving permits still to this day for, septic and wells. And a lot of that is, really perfunctory work, right? I mean, things either meet the state requirements or they don't, right? I mean, we have taken some steps forward to do other things, but, I can't see, yeah, that as putting somebody in a temporary position is going to badly affect that to the detriment of the town.
Well, I think we disagree here, because I don't want the general public to view the Board of Health as at all politicized. And having the ability to perpetuate our a political viewpoint by appointing people rather than submitting them to election may continue that viewpoint.
Well, it would only be the associate member though. And once the associate member got appointed to fill a vacancy, they would then come up for election.
That's fine. They can fill a temporary vacancy until the next election. But I also think the associate member should be directly elected primarily.
I do have a thought, I guess, just maybe a good happy medium. What if for the appointment we made it so it had to be a unanimous vote?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That way you can't have two board members team up and say, we want this person. You make it so we all have to be in agreement. Or not we, but you know what I mean, the three of you guys.
That seems pretty reasonable.
That sounds perfectly okay. But as it stands now, it does not sit well with me, the current verbiage.
So here's what I'd like to suggest. So in order to get this onto the warrant before it closes, we have to submit something as a placeholder to Mike, or who do we? I don't know who we.
By Wednesday.
By Wednesday. And we can change what we have submitted, but they have to have something in writing from us by Wednesday. I would propose that we submit what we have here, and that we then, as a placeholder, and then we revise it, and that we hash that out. We have to find out how much time we have to do that, and whether we'll need an extra meeting to do that. I don't know, Jason, do you know when I think it's right up before town meeting, isn't it?
Well, in deference to Steve, we could just include language that says appointed by unanimous vote of the board. Because he was comfortable with that.
Are you comfortable with that, Steve?
I'm comfortable with the unanimous portion of it, yes.
And are you comfortable with it's
the rest of it I can live with, but it should be unanimous. And in that regard.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying it could be unanimous, but you wanted it elected also.
I just think that there is some inherent risk in appointing someone without the electorate taking part, especially given the political status of you and John.
All right, here's a proposal. I guess I'm saying I don't feel like I'm done thinking about this, but I really want to send something. I want to get this on the warrant. So what if we revise this to say something about unanimous agreement? We submit it, and then we meet again to talk more about whether.
Sure, because that at least protects part of it.
Yep, and we can withdraw from the warrant later. We just need to get on it so we have a placeholder.
Yes. And we can if we decide we want it to be an elected position, we can change that up. And I think we have a modest amount of time to do that in, because I think,
And this could always be amended at the town meeting too. You never know what people are going to say or do.
that's true. All right, so how would we put this? Let's
I move that we submit the proposal for an appointed associate member of the Board of Health to the warrant committee, subject to the modification that the associate member is elected by unanimous vote of the board members.
Second,
all in favor? I, Kay Peterson.
I, John Quackenbush.
I, Stephen Kruskal.
Okay.
Okay, do you mind reaching out to Mike and just letting him know that would like that placeholder?
Okay.
It may hold a little bit more weight coming from the board chair, so.
I'd be happy to do that. Do you know, will he want a copy of this at this point, or just well, he'll tell me, but do you happen to know what he'll want?
I'm not sure. This is the first I've done this with this group, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure what he'll need.
Okay. Sounds good. Alrighty, let's see here. Waste management is the next item.
I haven't, Jennifer Luthi hasn't gotten back to me, so I don't have a full exposition of what I would want to say on this subject, but it's only been 2.5 years since we created the rules and regulations that we promulgated on January 1st, 2024. But I do have some concerns that need to be discussed. One being single stream regulation, single stream recycling versus the recycling that goes on at the transfer station. There's an obvious dichotomy in that regard, in that the private carriers do single stream and don't offer, to my knowledge, separation of various recyclables, while the transfer station is mandatory separation of recyclables. And it seems to me that there's sort of a disconnect when half the town is doing one thing and half the town is doing another. I think that's got to be reconciled in some way. I'm also
I was going to say that some of the people who use the transfer station don't recycle anything.
That's right.
That's
But
the third option.
if there was single stream recycling at the transfer station, more people would recycle.
Yeah.
Which would be a cost to the town, right?
Actually, if you really want to break down the economics, it might not be. We're going to lose money more likely than not on the styrofoam initiative. And the town isn't making a lot of money on the other portions. If you really did the analysis, you'd find that the town actually spends some money for its recycling effort. Not that it's not laudable.
Right, but it would be more expensive to institute single stream recycling.
I don't believe so. I think the technology's gotten to the point where it might be. Many towns around us do single stream recycling now. And
So your concern, Steve, is that we have two different
half the town is doing one thing, half the town is doing another.
and
We
what's the
mandate
prob-
and we
and
allow
what's
it.
What's the problem with that?
The problem with that is that maybe we are not, one half of the town isn't doing what's optimal, whatever that may be.
What is that? What is
You know,
optimal?
I pay to have my trash hauled.
Yeah, it's very
I feel like
convenient.
I get something for it, so.
It's very convenient, but And I do think there'd be an increase in recycling if we went to single stream throughout. And I don't think the private carriers have the capability to separate recyclables anyway.
So do you have any idea where Jen stands
So
on
I
that?
don't, and she hasn't gotten back to me. She may be out of the country. But I think it's something that ought to be discussed.
Mhm.
The other things are much more minor that I've noticed. One is that there's an awful lot of trash out that is not covered. And secondly, we have 5 days a week where in our town where trash is picked up. Most towns have municipal trash recovery, and it's done on a single day. You could argue about the aesthetics or what have you, but there may be some indication to limit the number of days for trash pickup rather than 5 days a week. All things that need to be discussed further.
Sounds like it might be something to bring up with the sustainability committee too.
Yeah.
You think about all the vehicles, all the miles those trucks are driven. If you have, I don't know how many different trash carriers driving all through Dover, each on their own, it's a very inefficient system.
It is, but Harvey's got over 80% of the business right now.
Mhm.
They managed to obtain quite a monopoly. But I'd like to keep this on the agenda going forward, and hopefully Jennifer and the committee might weigh in some on what their thoughts are regarding these three issues.
Alrighty. Do we have any other issues? Anybody have other old business they want to bring up?
I do have one thing, I guess, Kay, if nobody else has anything they want to. Uh, uh,
Nothing
ahead,
for me.
Jason.
Go ahead.
yeah, so just real quick, because I know we're running late here. But back to my whole theme before about new year, new initiatives, or not new initiatives, but rehashing older things we've discussed, hence old business. The digitizing of files, you had mentioned a little bit earlier, Kay. Now that the online permitting project is done at this point, and we're live, I would like to kind of revisit that. My latest thought on that, I guess, is potentially it's something we can take on ourselves. The staff. I'm saying, if we divvy it all up amongst ourselves, because I've thought of the idea of hiring a company to come in and do it. It's very costly. And really all they do is there's really no system to it. They just take each individual file and just scan everything front to back into one PDF. So there really wouldn't be any organization or anything like that. They would scan a lot of extra things that we really don't need. My thought kind of is, what if we just stick to the core things, meaning septic plans, proposed plans, as-bills, any well reports, permits, things like that. If we divvy all that up amongst the 4 or 5 of us, the fifth being the intern once they're with us, I would think over the course of maybe a couple of months, that's a task that we could complete ourselves, and then we can just have it done and out of the way. So just something I'm starting to think about. I didn't know if anyone had any thoughts on that, or what you might like to see us do, what documents we should do, that type of thing. Just kind of trying to feel that out right now.
I have a question, and anything we didn't scan would not be thrown away. It would be kept in a paper folder somewhere, right?
Yep.
So
Yep, those
it
files
would
are
be
not
nice
going
paper.
anywhere anytime soon, so we'd still have those.
I like the idea a lot. The idea of having one PDF with all the documents is just, it seems useless. All it does is allow you not to have a file cabinet in the office, but it doesn't make it easy to print a document or tag them and be able to find them easily later and whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, we'd probably be looking at somewhere in the ballpark of 40 grand. And even if we did that, it would require some organization and whatnot afterwards, just to get it dialed into where we want things to be and how we want it to be set up. That's why my thought kind of is, why don't we just tackle it ourselves, get it set up exactly how we want it, and save that cost.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I mean, a good sized chunk of these are already done just from you know, taking plan requests, and Suzanne started on some of it when she was with us. So there's a lot of these that already live on the computer.
Well, I think it sounds really good. Steve, what's your thought?
I think it's fine, though I think it might be a greater task than Jason stated it would be. It seems to me that Herculean, but if one can do that and still maintain regular functionality, that's great.
The little footnote that Jason didn't tell you about is that he's going to assign each of the three of us to come in and do a day a week of
Fat
scanning.
chance.
Yep, right.
I'll be there Sunday afternoons.
Yeah. You'll have to supervise us, Jason.
Yeah, that's true. He'd probably spend the next 4 days cleaning up our mess.
Yeah, you know what? That's perfectly all right. It would just create more work for us, so don't worry about it.
We're less trustworthy than Sophia.
Called learned helplessness. All right. So on that note, we're saying we're in support, Jason.
Okay, sounds good. We'll start getting more serious about it and see what we can figure out.
Okay, great. So no more old business or new business, whatever.
Nope.
Okay. Steve, you're all set?
Yes,
All right. Motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Seconded.
All right. Over and out. Good
Thank
night,
you,
everyone.
guys. Good job. Good night.
Good night.
And the train whistle closes us.
All right.